They say pressure is a privilege, but is it really? Today I want to talk to you about some of the pressures that I've been seeing for myself behind having a small business. And as I talk with other business owners, they seem to have this same pressure. And that is the fact that there's all sorts of moving plates going on. There's things that you're working on constantly, and yet it feels like the needle moves forward, but then it's not moving forward at the same time. And I was sitting down at lunch with a couple of business owners a couple weeks ago where we were talking really about how sometimes it's easier if you're just in sales or if you're just an employee versus being that business owner. And it's crazy how you can see tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars come into your bank account to be wiped out just like that. Immediately, because you're having to pay all your employees, you're having to pay for something that got broken, equipment, whatever it may be. There's all these bills that come up. And so one minute you're riding on this high, it's amazing. Wow, look at all this money that I have. And the next minute, it's all gone. And that's one of the hard things as a business owner. And while it is a privilege, it's still something that's really hard to deal with. You're constantly having to look out for those things. And that's something, especially those of you that are just starting out in business, you may not realize yet. Maybe it's still you. Maybe you're only doing it yourself. Maybe you've got a small team, or maybe it's just people that aren't consistently somebody you have to worry about and pay for and everything. And it's just a very inconsistent thing. But as you start to get more consistent with having employees, having expenses and stuff, it becomes more and more challenging to run your business. And while at first it seems like getting to $10,000 a month is something that's going to be a great feat, you're going to have money, you realize very quickly that it's really not that much at all, and that you need more in order to actually start making a livable wage, or maybe not livable, but something that's above a livable wage or above the average household income. That is actually where you're trying to get and why you started the business in the first place. But because of this pressure that you have, and why I think it's a privilege, is because you are creating opportunities for other people. Not only is your business able to provide a service or a product to your customer, but it also allows you to be able to create something for people that you're working with, and they're able to work in their zone of genius. And recently I had this actually happen with two of my employees. One of my employees, her first time, we had been going through doing recruiting together and everything, and our last virtual assistant placement, I actually was not involved at all. So I talked to the client, got the client to sign on, do a placement fee with us, and then after that, she handled everything. She did the pre-screening of the VAs. I sent over the resumes and our notes to the client, but then the client, we booked the calls. She booked the calls for us. I wasn't able to attend the final interviews with the client and the VA, but she was able to do that. And she was there for that. And that really made her feel empowered. And it was a really cool feeling. And it was such a privilege to see her get so excited over something that, for me, I didn't really want to do. It was something that took a lot of energy out of me, but she got really excited about that. And my other virtual assistant, I actually just promoted him to our marketing manager. So he is now overseeing all of our video editors, all of our social media content. He's heavily involved, especially on the social media side, but we've got 2 video editors as well as 2 social media people that are helping out with graphic design, helping out with content creation and things of that nature. And he's overseeing all of that. And he told me that that was his dream coming true. And so it was really cool to be able to see that as a business owner. Sometimes you kind of take for granted because it's just something that you've had to do and you've had to figure out along the ways. But when you start to delegate this work and start to bring in employees, it's really cool to see how they light up over these things that didn't necessarily light me up, don't necessarily light you up, but your employees are able to be lit up by that. And that really creates that privilege then that you have, but there's pressure behind that because now you've got all this payroll to deal with. And so now you have to continue to make sure that you get sales. And as I've gotten into business and started actually making some decent income, I've realized just how kind of scary it is that every month you start at zero again, and you've got to build up, and you've got to make sure that you have consistent business coming in, that you have consistent leads coming in, so you can continue to consistently grow the business, so you can move forward and be able to bring on more people and create more pressure and more privilege all at the same time. Thankfully, the model that I have with our business is monthly recurring revenue model, so we have clients that are constantly renewing every single month. Yes, we have some that fall off. Yes, we get new clients, but we have a recurring revenue model, unlike a lot of businesses where it's all about you get a sell and then you hope to get another sell the next month or the next week, the next day. And so you're constantly in this chase of get the sell, fulfill the service, get the next sell, fulfill the next service. And thankfully for me, it's not necessarily that way. I do have that recurring revenue. So for those of you that are doing business, try and find a way to get some kind of recurring revenue, some kind of way to have a recurring purchase at a minimum. Yes, maybe your passion is to do something where it's kind of a one-off thing. Something that comes to mind is like a roof or a deck, and there's a lot of houses, so there's different nuances to all of this. But of course, somebody's not going to build a deck this month and then build another deck the next month. So you're not going to be able to have recurring revenue from that one customer. But then that comes down to really wowing that customer, really getting them excited and getting referrals from that. And even for me, I was able to do that with our client that we just got a virtual assistant for, that my virtual assistant, my recruiter, she was able to get them onboarded and all that stuff and get them the VA that they wanted. And he was able to get me actually a couple referrals because of the great working relationship that we had, the process that we had. He was really satisfied with that. And so I got a couple referrals out of that. And so that's what you need to do with your business. And that's what I found to be the best thing. You can do the cold traffic. You can do the paid ads. You can do all the social media content where you're really trying to create that warm traffic. But at the end of the day, that referral process is going to be the best thing for you. And when you do that, that starts to take pressure off of you, but it still is a pressure nonetheless because you have all these expenses that are coming up. But that's the real truth behind business ownership, is that there is pressure, and the more pressure you have, the more of a privilege you have as well. I really, truly believe in that. And so I've created more pressure on myself, and I've hired more people a little bit before I really needed them. But what I found as well with that is as I've hired to where I'm trying to go versus where I'm at right now, I've found that I end up getting more business that way. I end up helping more people. I end up doing bigger things. And now I push myself even harder because I've put myself in a situation of pressure that I have to go find a way out of. I have to find that next client. I have to find that next deal. I have to find that next idea that's going to generate us the revenue to continue to be profitable as a company. So for you, if you don't have that pressure yet, find ways to create that pressure. And I'm not saying go out and hire somebody as far as like hiring an employee. Maybe it's hiring a coach. Maybe it's spending a little bit of money on ads, but find some way to create a little pressure on you, because when you create that pressure, you're going to find a way in the end. And I'm not saying go spend your last dollar by any means, but find a way to sustainably push yourself and put yourself in a point where you are a little uncomfortable, or as uncomfortable as you can get. Because the more uncomfortable you can get, the bigger you're going to grow as a business. So go out there and create some pressure for yourself today. Do something to get you out of your comfort zone and play for where you're trying to be, not where you're at right now.